things first is CHW Training Fundamentals. Again, you may know this, but I'm going to go over some of this again for you. Now, CHWs, first and foremost, should be trained in core competencies using competency-based instruction. And so, again, you're probably familiar with those core competencies. Those are those recommendations set forth by the c3project.org, and we can share that in the chat as well. What you may not be familiar with, though, is competency-based instruction. And so competency-based instruction is where you teach someone something and then you have them demonstrate to show mastery of that particular topic or subject or skill or whatever that might be. And so what I have found when I started training community health workers is that CHWs, they were for the most part being taught in one or all 11 of those core competencies, but that education, that training did not necessarily include competency-based instruction where you were then having them demonstrate or take those, apply that real world application to it. So first and foremost, it does need to include that. Secondly, CHW trainings are not one size fits all. I mean, let's think about community health workers, right? Typically, they come from or they represent the community that they're being served, right? And if I think about how they taught me in grad school, when I'm designing an intervention for a community, it's going to be tailored to that community, right? It's not going to be an intervention that I design and say, hey, use this. It may not apply to them, might not be in their language, might not be the right fit. It is the same thing for training community health workers as well. And so even though you may have a curriculum, even though there's a shell there, a foundation there, we have our own curriculum. I encourage my instructors to always be dynamic, always teach from trending topics, always take a tailored, customized approach when you're training CHWs because it is not a one size fits all, even when you do have a curriculum there. And then the third thing that I will tell you when it comes to CHW training fundamentals is there is an art and science to training community health workers. And we touched on this last week in our webinar that we did for aspiring trainers. So, whether you are an aspiring trainer, whether you're an experienced training professional from another field, or you've been doing this for some time in the CHW field, you should understand that this is an art and a science. And so when I say art, I mean it's intuitive, I mean it's subjective, and it is skilled, cultivated through practice. When I say it's a science, that means it is backed by research. There are methods, there are certain approaches. It's objective, and most importantly, it can be measured. Any kind of training, even for community health workers, especially for community health workers, should be measured. So our goal today is going to be able to share with you these core competencies, which again are going to be kind of the bulk of our conversation. But then we also want to share with you some resources that will help support your journey in becoming a CHW trainer as well. And again, welcome to those of you who have joined the Zoom room.